Hello everyone, and once again welcome to my other presentations that I felt that it's very important that I should share this concept. The concept in aviation is very well known. It's called situational awareness. When we go for training, when we are newcomers, and when we are progressing through our career, this concept is always going to be told to us in one way or the other. It may not be told to us in a way that we can fully understand what it means when, let's say, an instructor or a captain drills and grills this term into our ears without actually telling us what it means. In simple, it just means be aware of your situation. But what situation are we talking about? There are many situations. So over the course of my career up to now, and with the experience that has come through, I have come to realize that this situational awareness concept can be broken down into components. Easy to remember components, and then from there we can elaborate what it all means. So without saying too much, let's try and break down the concept of situational awareness to what I have come to know is a better way of understanding this idea and how we can apply it. And believe me, it's not only going to be applicable to aviation, you're flying, but also in the outside world, out of aviation, anywhere you are, whether you are at your home or whether you are driving, or whether you are in your office or wherever you are. This concept is very useful, and experience is the main thing. So the more we expose ourselves to flying or doing any other job that we are qualified to do, the concept of situational awareness always comes the more we are exposed to what we are doing. So when I was thinking about this concept, I asked myself, how can I break it down into simple, easier to understand subject for the beginners, and then it can also be taken to the advanced. When I sat down and thought about it, and believe me, this I didn't take it from any resource, so it is purely my idea, okay? I hope it will be welcome, but if there's any objections, I would even, or any further things that can also be discussed, it will be nice to know from all of you. I keep saying in my all presentations that sharing is very important in the aviation community because we are all learning from each other. So, I looked at the term situational awareness, and then I looked at the letter S, and from the letter S, I could actually extract a couple of phenomena that can be related to the concept of situational awareness. So let's look at each of them in detail. I may be able to say everything about each component, or I may miss out a few things, which it will be nice to for you guys and girls to also add to the meanings. Okay, so for me, from the experience I've had, the letter S in the term situational awareness can have the following meanings. So let's look at the first one. The first one is sight. Okay, sight would be our first component of situational awareness. So when I say sight, what do I mean by sight? Sight is what you are able to see. So, for example, when you are approaching the airport, okay, Just as you're coming out of your car or your crew bus or however you've traveled to the airport, you look around you to get an idea of what is around the airport, what is around the airfield. The weather around the airport, how does it look like? And which runway is like to be used? What is the traffic on the ramp? How are aeroplanes parked? And let's say, is there any foreign object on the ramp that affects maybe the taxiing of your aircraft? Is there a vehicle which is parked somewhere it shouldn't be parked? Okay, and etc, etc. I can list so many of them, but in general, what you are looking at is the scene, the live scene on the ground and projected towards the sky. Okay, what does this do? It helps you plan. So you see the weather around you and you say, okay, I have a thunderstorm in this direction, the wind is showing this direction and speed. How will I depart? What do I need to take into account of? Will I expect wind shear if it's bad weather ahead of my departure runway? Can I use another runway instead? Can I do this? Can I do that? So when you talk of situational awareness, as your experience grows, you are continuously asking yourself questions on each of these components that we'll be listing here. Okay, so sight means about the aerodrome. Then we also continue with the concept of sight to pre-flight. So you've assessed the scene around the airport, you've got an idea of the weather, how the clouds are, how the wind is, and you've looked at the ramp, your parking, where you are, the nearby aircraft, where they are parked, and so on and so forth. And there are so many of them. But in short, I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. Then you do your pre-flight. That's also about sight. So you're going around and you go around your aircraft. So you'll be looking at basically how the aircraft is. Is everything in place? Is something leaking? Is something loose? Is the oxygen quantity okay for 2 crew in the cockpit? Or let's say if you have an observer, is it okay for 3 crew in the cockpit? For instance, you look at your aircraft general appearance. Are there any leaks? Is there any dents? Are there any dents? And so on and so forth. So I can, as I said, I can't list all of them, but when you are there, automatically it comes into you. But I'm hoping you understand what I'm trying to look at. So you're looking at your aircraft, and if there's anything, you are confronting the engineer, the maintenance team, and the like to tell them this does not look right. Okay, so you have a good walk around your aircraft before you go in. You inspect your cabin. As a captain, normally it's very good to walk along the aisle to inspect the cabin inside, to see how the seats are, the lavatories, and everything. Although it's the cabin crew's job to do that, but nonetheless, more eyes, more set of eyes are better than a few set of eyes. Okay, then what you do, once you've done all that, you're now going to go in the flight deck. Okay, so when you go in the flight deck, now here you are looking at, do I have enough fuel in the first place? When I enter the flight deck, my sight goes first to the fuel. How much fuel do I have? Okay, then you look at the instrument panels. Are they reading correctly? All the controls and switches, are they in the correct positions? Hydraulics, flap lever, condition lever, power levers. Okay, are all those in their rightful places? Are the switches and the knobs in the rightful places? Okay, and so on and so forth. So your mind never stops querying yourself. Okay, this is a very important practice that we as pilots do. Okay, so this is what we are looking at. Then from the flight deck, we're looking outside. Where is the ground power unit parked or placed? What's around the aircraft? How am I going to taxi out? What's my proximity with another aircraft which is nearby? Will I need a wingman? and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of questions that come. The more you fly, the more you expose yourself, the more these things come before you, and you list them down, and then they just become second nature. So general layout of the flight deck before you do your pre-flight, and so on and so forth. Okay, you are paying attention to detail. That's very important. Okay, so regarding sight, that's basically how much I can talk now. But all in all, I am hoping that you understand what I'm trying to get to. Okay, next comes in line will be sounds. So that's another S for sounds. Remember the S in the situational awareness, I'm trying to break it into many S's to make it a bit more interesting to understand, and at the same time making it logical. So sounds. So regarding sounds, let's see what sounds mean. First of all, when you're in the flight deck and you are sitting there, or let's say you are flying, you are airborne, do you hear any unusual sound coming from, let's say, the vents or the engines or anything else in the flight deck? Very important to know. Okay, is the aircraft giving you any sounds that you're not used to hearing? Okay, and that's when you start querying. Okay, so unusual sounds. Other sounds, other issues or concepts that come under sounds is communication. You also hear, what is the ATC telling me? What is the ATC telling the other aircraft? What is the ATC doing here? Can I think on their behalf? Okay, can I request for, let's say, for example, vectors? Can I request to make a short approach? Can I request to make a visual approach? And so on and so forth. So you're querying yourself. ATC, other aircraft, what are they saying? Other aircraft, where are they? What are they saying? How far are they from where you are? What is the sequence? You know, let's say in the terminal area, or that, or in other cases, let's say you got PIREPs. Okay, what are the aircrafts talking about? Okay, so you are hearing outside, you're getting the sound, you're processing the sounds that are coming to you from inside, meaning the flight deck. Now you're also hearing the sounds of ATC, of other aircraft. Then if you're on the ground personnel, when you're pushing back, what are they saying? For example, what is your first officer saying? Or if you are a first officer, what is your captain saying? What is your cabin crew saying? Etc, etc. Saying meaning you need to be attentive to each other. Okay, they can come to you with issues. Okay, they can come to you with their thoughts, their opinions for decision making. So you need to be keeping your ears wide open to hear these things that is coming from all sorts of avenues. I hope that's making sense. So you break it down. You see, we are breaking down each of the S's into its subcomponents. Okay, so if I'm forgetting anything, if you can add more things, it will be very nice, because you will definitely increase the list for those of you who are way more experienced as well, or have experienced something else. If you add this to the list, it will be very important, so we can get to know more on what to look out for, or what to hear out for rather, when it comes to sights and sounds. Okay, so that's basically about sounds. Then we talk of smell. Okay, another S coming is smell. Okay, so for the smell, what are we focusing our sense of smell on? Let's see. Vents, when you're in the flight deck. Okay, are you getting an unusual smell coming from the vents? Okay, something which is heating up, for example. Okay, or some other smell that you are not used to from the aircraft's perspective to receive. Okay, so from the vents, from the flight deck itself, is any burning smell? Is there any fuel or oil smell coming through the vents, you know, when you're flying or when you are on the ground or the like? Okay, and any other unusual smell, but not to do with the human's physiology. Sorry for this, I had to say this, because that is not something you can even address sadly, in the cockpit, and I can't say more on that. Okay, so that's to do with the sense of smell. The next thing will be skin. So when I say skin, what do I mean? It means what you feel on the skin. What you'll feel on the skin will be temperature, okay, or any other feeling or any other color change that you might get. So first of all, you're looking at, okay, are you feeling very hot? Is it hotter than usual? For example, if you are on the ground and it's getting so hot in the cabin, in the flight compartment, you need to question yourself: is the bleed system working? Is something wrong? Okay, if it's getting excessively cold, you need to question yourself on that as well. So hot or cold, very important. Okay, are there any irritations on your skin when you're flying? Is any color changes? Okay, for example. So any other issues you're feeling underneath your skin? Maybe there's oxygen depletion, or maybe you are entering a hypoxia state. Okay, so this is where you talk of the skin as one of your senses for situational awareness. Okay, so anything more, please do share in the comments. The other one, maybe the last one now, is share. Okay, sharing. Now sharing is not a sensor like the previous ones. The previous were sensors. They are sensors of your body, okay, telling you how can you assess the situation you are in. But now sharing is exactly what it would mean. You are now actually projecting what you are sensing, whether it's about a sight, a sound, a smell, or skin. Okay, you are now projecting it to the relevant personnel, whether it's your first officer or your captain, your cabin crew, okay, ATC, ground people, maintenance. So here we are sharing, because situational awareness is very important to be projected. So when you experience something, okay, you need to project it. So you are keeping everybody in the loop, all right? Whether it's in flight, all right, whether it's on the ground, whether it's inside the flight deck, all right, you are projecting what you are sensing. It's very important to note this. So, for instance, pilot to pilot, okay, so when we are sensing something, if it's to do with a sight or a sound or a skin or a smell, we are talking to each other. Hey, can you smell this? Hey, can you see this? Hey, can you hear that? Okay, so you are now coming to be on the same page, for which you can take a collective decision. Okay, for example, when you see that you program your FMS, okay, you've entered the load sheet figures, and then you see that, okay, look at the takeoff weight. Okay, is this takeoff weight for, let's say, a 30-minute sector? Will it give us a landing weight below our maximum landing weight? You know, let's say we have a takeoff weight, for example, due to the load sheet which came, and it was let's say 29 tons, for example. All right. Okay, it's below the maximum takeoff weight for the Q400 I'm talking about here, because that's what this channel is all about. Okay, and then you say your short sector has a trip fuel of only 400. All right. So if you find the difference, then you ask yourself, wait a minute, am I going to land below my landing weight here? Is something wrong? Okay, have the load controllers made a blunder? Do I have to reduce my cargo, my baggage? And you see, this is very important. So when we talk of sight, okay, when we talk of sight, for example, we are looking at every single thing, okay, whatever is coming under your eyes, in front of your eyes, whatever it is, whether it's outside or inside, instruments, computers, you know, you are taking everything into account. So you share with each other. All right. Next sharing would be pilot to cabin crew. Okay. So you tell them, okay, for example, okay, are we going to expect some bad weather ahead? Okay. Will there be turbulence? Okay. Or will there be, is there, let's say we end up in emergency. Okay. What are we trying to project to the cabin crew? what is the nature of the emergency. You know the NITS briefing that we do, NITS briefing in emergencies. You can go away and look at that. That's very important, NITS, and you'll see what I mean when you say pilot to cabin crew. Or cabin crew to pilot is also very important. Cabin crew can also come and tell you we've got a medical emergency, or something is loose in the cabin, or there is an order, or the like, and blah, 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 you know. So you're projecting the situational awareness, all right? Another one could be pilot to ATC. What are your intentions? All right. What do you want to do? Do you want to deviate from a weather system? All right. Do you want to choose another runway, for example, because you cannot depart on a particular runway because the weather ahead of you, and so on and so forth. So you are even keeping the ATC in that loop of of your situation. Okay. That's very important. And pilot to company. Let's say you have an air turn back, for example, all right, or you have medical emergency on board, or any issue, you want a quick turnaround, for example, and you tell the company, please, when we land, we'd like to have a quick turnaround if possible. You're requesting for any equipment, you have to be on the ground, like a GPU or something, all right? So all this, okay, all this is very, very important to project, okay? And another one is pilots to passengers, all right? Let's say you are in an emergency, you're having air turn back, you have made a rejected takeoff, you've gone around, okay? You are telling your passengers in simple language for them what is happening. So the whole idea is not to be mute, but it's to project your situational awareness and the senses that you are receiving, the information you are receiving from your senses, the sight, the sound, the skin, the smell, you are actually projecting it. Okay. In so doing, we keep ourselves aware of the situation we are in. This, to me, makes sense after putting in a bit of thought into it and how I could have explained this to someone, all right, because I always get questions, Captain, what is situational awareness? What are we trying to understand? What are we trying to do? Okay, so it comes by experience. The more you expose yourself, the more you become aware of your awareness of situational awareness. Okay, you've got traffic on finals, for example, you are behind the traffic. Okay, is that traffic a heavy? Means it's going to give you wake turbulence. Are you separated correctly? Okay, is it a light traffic? Is a small aircraft? Are you going to catch up with that aircraft? You know, for example, so constantly you are sighting, you are hearing the sounds, then the smell, then the skin, and this should be like, you know, like a rolling ball in your mind. Always keep asking yourself, sight, sound, skin, smell, sight, sound, skin, smell, so on and so forth until you finish your flight and you go home. You know, and of course also on the road you might need it as well. As I said, that this idea is very broad. It's not only limited to aircrafts. It's limited. It expands into many other areas of your life. So having said that, I'm hoping that it has made a bit of sense. Another one is a pilot to ground stuff. When you're on the ground, okay, are the chocks inserted? Is a GPU connected? Is there a tailpipe fire? Is there something that, you know, you need from them? All right. Let's say cleaners, for example, security staff, your ground handlers, you know, lots of things come into play in this world of aviation. All right. And you are constantly asking yourself, what should I be doing next? Okay. This keeps you well informed. Yes, we are humans, obviously, and we fall. Fallibility is in us. We make mistakes. We can't keep every single thing in our basket. Is impossible. That is why we work as a team. Okay, there's a captain, there's a first officer, there's a cabin crew, there's a ground staff. There are so many of us, and each one will pick up something that the other may have not picked up. So in so doing, you are keeping everything safe, and you're also being situationally aware. Okay, and CRM is very important. Okay, decision making is very important. Collective decision making is very important. Okay, so having said all that, I think that makes me round up this, wishing you all a safe flight and enjoy the presentations as I post them. As I keep saying that mine are not very fancy, but I just want to deliver the message that I can, that I come across, and to share with you all what I am knowing, what I'm learning rather, and you can do the same as well. Till the next time, stay safe and fly safe.